Hello everyone. Today we will be solving word problems that involve us applying the concept of solving linear systems of equations that have two solutions. We'll be solving a total of 3 word problems. Let's take a look at our first one. Denise owns a car that runs on a mixture of gasoline and ethanol. She can buy fuels that have 85% ethanol or 25% ethanol. How much of each type of fuel should she buy if she wants to fill a 20-gallon tank with a mixture of fuel that contains 50% ethanol? Round your answers to the nearest tenth. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to set up your variables. Your first variable is going to be x, and x is going to equal the number of gallons that contain 85% ethanol. And your second variable is going to be y. And y is going to equal the number of gallons that contain 25% ethanol. Okay, now that we have identified our variables, we're going to set up a table to help us figure out what our equations are going to be. Here we have the number of gallons of fuel, and we also have the number of gallons of pure ethanol. In our first column, for the number of gallons of fuel, under 85%, we are going to have x. Under 25%, we are going to have y. And under 50%, we are going to have 20. And the reason why we have 20 is because 20 is our total amount. Now we're going to look at number of gallons of pure ethanol. For 85%, we are going to have 0.85 x. Under 25%, we are going to have 0.25 y. Under 50%, we are going to have 0.50 times 20, which equals 10. And the reason why we do this is because we know that we have a 20-gallon tank of solution and this 20-gallon tank is supposed to contain 50% ethanol. And what we're doing is we're just taking our concentration of pure ethanol times the total amount of solution that we have, and this gives us 10 gallons of pure ethanol. Now, let's solve the equation. Okay. So here are what our two equations are going to be. Our first one is going to be x plus y equals 20. Our second equation will be 0.85x plus 0.25y equals 10. And before I begin solving for each variable, I want to get rid of these decimals right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second equation, I'm going to multiply it times 100, and that is going to give me 85x plus 25y equals 1000. So now that I have my two equations, I can solve for my variables. So the way I'm going to solve this equation, or for my variables, is I'm going to use the method of elimination. And in an elimination, first thing I want to do is I want to cancel out one of my variables. So I'm going to take this equation right here, x plus y equals 20. I'm going to multiply the whole equation to negative 25. And this is going to give me negative 25x minus 25y equals negative 500. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two equations. I'm going to add them together. Okay, so what's going to happen is these two variables right here going to cancel out. And now what I'm going to be left with is 60x equals 500. And now I'm going to solve for x. So while solving for x, I'm going to divide 60 on both sides so I can get x alone. And I get x equals 25 divided by 3. And this is just going to equal approximately 8.3 gallons of 85% ethanol. Okay, now that I have solved for x, I want to solve for y. And to solve for y, I plug x back into one of my equations. I'm going to take my equation 85, and I'm going to plug in x here. Plug in 8.3 plus 25y equals 1,000. Okay, and now 85 times 8.3 is going to give me 705.5 plus 25y equals 1,000. I'm going to subtract 705.5 from both sides. This is going to give me 25y equals 294.5. Now I want to get y alone. Let's do this. Divide 25, divide 25, then y is going to equal 11.78, but because I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, my final answer is going to be 11.8 gallons of 25% ethanol. All right, now that I've solved for x and y, it's important that I check my answers. And to check my answers, I have to plug both of these numbers, both x and y, back into both equations. So first, I'm going to take this equation up here, x plus y equals 20. I'm going to plug both of these variables into that equation. So I'm going to have 8.3 plus 11.8 equals approximately 20. And the reason why I put down approximately 20 is because due to rounding off errors, I'm not going to get a number that equals exactly 20, but I am going to get a number that equals close to 20. And 8.3 plus 11.8 equals 20.1, which is very close to 20. Now I need to plug both of these variables back into my second equation. 85 times 8.3 plus 25 times 11.8 equals approximately 1,000. Once again, I'm not going to get exactly 1,000 due to rounding off errors, but I should get an answer close to 1,000. So what this is going to give me is 705.5 plus plus 295 equals approximately 1,000. When I add these together, I get 1,000.5. It's approximately 1,000. And as you can see, these two numbers are very close to each other. Therefore, my final answers are 11.8 gallons of 25% ethanol. That's what Y equals. And then X equals about 8.3 gallons of 85% ethanol.